9:30 Eastern this morning. Don't miss it. He'll also be on First Take immediately following us. Meanwhile, the big NFL story of the moment, of the season, of the year continues to be Aaron Rodgers. You're well aware of the storylines of the offseason. One of 10 Packers who did not attend OTAs in May, instead hanging out in Hawaii there with his fiance and friends. Then earlier this month, he missed mandatory minicamp, could face a $93,000 fine from the Packers for that. Jordan Love taking all the first-team snaps in Rodgers' absence. Then last week, during a Zoom appearance promoting his upcoming golf match with Tom Brady, he wore a shirt that said, "I'm offended." And then the big buzz that was created over this weekend, as I turned to Dan Graziano, my insider, who is not a golf insider, but the big buzz was that he renewed his membership at Green Bay Country Club. And people are very excited about that.
Right. There's no, the problem is there's no like insider work to be done that hasn't been done, right? We know where things stand. They haven't advanced. So now we're just doing tea leaves, right? So, oh, he renewed his golf membership in Green Bay. So he must be thinking about going back there, right? So if people around the league want to speculate, people with the Packers want to know what that means. So if you're looking at that and you're starting to think, all right, well, maybe ultimately he comes back, right? Maybe ultimately he just sort of swallows hard and says, if I'm going to play this year, which I want to do, it's going to have to be in Green Bay, and then we can figure it out after the season. Then that's what the Packers want at this point. The question becomes, how do you move forward? Do you forgive the minicamp fines? How do you get him in the right frame of mind to help you win this year? This is the problem the Packers hope they have come late July, early August. And at this point, I mean, no one knows what's going to happen, but you start to think that may be the road it's headed down.
The only person who might know, pardon me, is Aaron Rodgers. And it's not even clear yet that he knows for certain what he's going to do. But Chris Canty, just following this as you have and knowing him to whatever degree you do, at least of him, does he seem like the kind of person who's going to do what Dan is saying, is basically swallow hard, show up, and however it is that he can try and finesse it, come back and play for this team again after everything that's happened?
Yeah, Greeny, I think Aaron Rodgers could potentially go back to the Green Bay Packers. Now, it would involve their general manager making some huge concessions in terms of giving Rodgers some long-term guarantees about his tenure as the Green Bay Packers quarterback beyond 2021. But the thing that I look at and what probably will motivate Aaron Rodgers to come back is that Green Bay represents the best opportunity for him to compete for a championship. At this point in his career, it's about his legacy. And when you start talking about the greatest quarterbacks of all time, most of those guys have multiple championships. Joe Montana, multiple championships. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, etc. So if Aaron Rodgers wants to be vaulted into that conversation, then he's going to have opportunities to compete at the highest level. I think Green Bay is the landing spot that gives him the best chance to do that.
That's fair. And so you're talking about what the GM might do. Let's bring our GM into the conversation on that thought. Mike Tannenbaum, if you're the GM in Green Bay, what are you doing right now?
I'm doing two things, Greeny. One is I am forgiving the fine. I've been in this situation before. You're looking for ways to reinvigorate the discussions with Aaron Rodgers and his agent. And look, $93,000 isn't a lot to Aaron Rodgers, but it's a reason to pick up the phone. It's a reason to say, hey, let's get together. We want to try to make progress. We're going to forgive the fine. And importantly, the other thing I'm doing, and the verb here is important, I am scouring for alternatives, because if I'm the Packers, the worst case scenario is not losing Aaron Rodgers. It's losing Aaron Rodgers and losing games. So if it's Gardner Minshew, is it Jimmy Garoppolo, is it Nick Foles? I have to make sure that if Jordan Love isn't ready, which is no fault to Jordan Love because he didn't practice last year because of COVID, you have to get your starter ready. I have a really good football team, so if eventually I trade Aaron Rodgers, I need to have a viable replacement, and that person may not be on campus right now.
What do you think, Chris Canty?
I completely disagree with Mike Tannenbaum. I mean, they went out and made the deal for Blake Bortles this offseason, and say what you want about Blake, he's got over 70 starts in the NFL at quarterback. So you have a competent veteran presence in that room. I don't need to go scouring the free agent market looking for another option. And the reality is that you drafted Jordan Love to be the successor for Aaron Rodgers. So unless that veteran quarterback that you're bringing in is Aaron Rodgers, then Jordan Love needs to be the guy that's under center in week one. He'll have a full offseason. He went through OTAs. He went through minicamp. He'll have a normal training camp with preseason games. If Jordan Love's not ready to play when week one rolls around with all of the snaps, then that's an indictment on the coaching staff or the front office or maybe even both.
quick final thought, Graz, on all of that, on the possibilities of any more wheeling and dealing.
Yeah, look, I mean, they bring in Bortles because he's got some experience in the offense. He was in L.A. with McVay, right? And they're all running the same offense. So, yeah, if they're not happy with what he shows, we'll know what they think about Jordan Love. If Aaron Rodgers isn't there and they're out beating the bushes for another veteran quarterback, that tells us what they think about where Jordan Love's development is, which is a major, major question mark at this point.
All right, that is where it all begins. We'll get Mike T back in for much more as we roll along. We're just getting started on Get Up on this Monday, and as you can tell, we are busy. We're talking about Tom versus Time.